Welcome to the very first episode. I'm so excited to get this launch going. I really hope you had a chance to listen to the trailer for this episode to hear a description of it and kind of my heart for the podcast. If you didn't listen to it yet, stop and go check it out. But here we go. I'm going to talk to Shawn Bolz as my first guest. I'm so excited.
Welcome to the Everyday Discernment Podcast. This show is about you and your walk with Jesus as we grow in discernment together so that we can make better daily decisions that honor God in all we do. We will align all things against the Bible and give you practical steps to run your Christian race to win. And now your host, the discerning dad, Tim Ferrara.
All right, welcome to the Everyday Discernment Podcast. I'm excited for this launch episode. I have 8 amazing guests lined up for you, and I'm especially excited for my guest today. Shawn Bolz is with me, so welcome to the podcast, Shawn.
I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so glad to have met you over social media, and I love your new book.
Well, thank you. Yeah, TikTok of all social medias we met. Who would have thought it?
We heard Gary Vee say you got to get on TikTok, so we tried it out. My wife's one of the paid contract educators on TikTok now, so we went for it.
Oh, wow. It's happening. I'm telling you, there's a lot of great Christian content creators on there too. So God's moving. So just in case someone doesn't know you, just give us a quick overview of who you are and what you do.
Well, I work in the entertainment industry, and then I also do ministry. And so I do some light production. We also, and the ministry side of things, I would host. I used to tour and travel and teach people how to hear from God, but we stopped our tour in the COVID situation. And so I host 2 TV shows. One's on TBN. It's on Monday nights at 7 p.m. about hearing God's voice, translating God. And then CBN News Network, I host a show about exploring the industry, which is also a podcast in the Exploring series we do every week. So we have Exploring the Prophetic podcast, Exploring the Industry podcast, all in one umbrella. And I'm an author. And so I've sold a lot of books and to a lot of great people and give people tools, which is great. Most of the stuff we do is for free, but we do authoring as well, which is great.
Yeah. That's great. Every time I look, it seems like you're doing something new, and they're all engaging and awesome to watch and follow. So that's awesome. And your podcast as well, Exploring the Prophetic, is amazing. And kind of what I want to do here is talk to people about their journey. You talk a lot about your journey and sharing. You're very open and transparent about your process and your journey, and having other people on that are open as well. And so when speaking about discernment, I kind of wanted the similar thing, to hear other people's stories, to learn from them. And if you think about the Bible, it's one big story of people who've had great discernment and did not have great discernment. And, we learn from all those stories. And similarly with a podcast like this, I'm hoping we can learn from people's stories. And even though we may not have the exact same decision that we're presented with, we can look at the process. We can look at the ways we acquire discernment and how we hear from God, and hopefully apply similar things to our decision making so we don't fall down the same pitfalls that other people have.
That's so good.
So what I'm asking all my launch guests is 2 examples. One example when you had great godly discernment, and then another one when you maybe didn't, and what you learned from it.
I would say my greatest moment of discernment was my wife, just knowing that I was falling in love with her and she was the right one. And thank God, that was totally a God thing, where it wasn't just my intuition, it wasn't just my instinct, but there was something inside of me that compelled me. And there was a lot of reasons why not to connect. So there was things that I could have looked at as natural compatibility issues. I was an older, person when I got married. I was 37 and my wife was 34, and we actually finally got married. But we dated for a little bit before and broke up for 2 years and dated again. Oh, wow. And so my discernment kept me connected to her, which is really good. I kept seeing God in her. I kept seeing who she was in God, not just who she wasn't. She did the same thing for me, which is great. And then an area that I was not very discerning was today. I'm a gamer, and my daughter is a gamer as well. She's 7 years old, and she loves the Minecraft. And so we were playing Minecraft, and they just started some new servers up that are accessible to everybody. And I just didn't feel right about putting her on I was just going to sit next to her and supervise, but I didn't feel right for her to be that young and be on a server where all things can go. But she can't really read very much yet, so I was like, it'll be okay. And we're playing a picture building fast thing where 10 people build a picture and you vote on which one you like the best. And someone, of course, built a naked woman, and I should have known. And it's super blocks and pixelated. She's so innocent; it's not a big deal. Yeah. But it's the wrong introduction for her to be online, because there's no safeguards. And discernment-wise, I'm the one who would have told everybody else not to do what I did today. And I even felt like I had a check in my heart and my spirit, and I didn't follow it. So I had a dad fail today. But the good thing was we're learning a lot from it.
That's good. And that, online is such a wide range of things. It's hard to know exactly what to protect them from. And
Absolutely.
as opposed to shutting off the internet altogether, which a lot of times as dads, we want to do, try to find the balance, and that's tough. But also, when they get older, equipping them with the knowledge of, hey, if this pops up, what do you do? How do you have discernment? And hopefully teaching our kids to make those decisions on their own, which they may not be able to process yet as they're growing. But as we start making those decisions for them, we hope at least that when they get to that point that they're on their own or they're with their friends and have that temptation, that they can say no to it.
Totally. So today is the day we read Good Pictures, Bad Pictures. It's a children's book that's age appropriate for her at 7. And we've been saving it for her. And so it'll be a good learning lesson, good tool. And she's innocent. She was fine. But it just shows you the gateway of what could open up, because there's people who are predatory on there. So it's like, okay, I learned my lesson today. Thank you, God, that it was an innocent lesson. Yes. And I'm moving on. I didn't have any shame about it, but I was like, bummer, just disappointed,
Yeah, for sure. So going back to the relationship example with your wife, what would you say to people that are searching right now and may not have found their mate, their spouse yet, and they feel, I remember when I was 25, I was antsy. I felt like, if I don't get married now, I'm going to, whatever. And
I'll be old like Shawn Bolz.
And what I realized is that, we think that marriage is the finish line, but it's actually the start of a brand new journey with someone else. And I didn't have that perspective until later on. So what would you speak to people that might be antsy like I was, that are just searching and maybe making some wrong choices along the way?
Well, I think, single life for me and my wife, because we both had never been married before, and we both had a purity in our single life. So I think for me, single life was fulfilling. And it was something, I wanted to be married like everybody wants to be married. Not like everybody, but I had contentment being single. But I wanted to enjoy my single life so that when I crossed the finish line of singleness, that the new journey of marriage wouldn't be so defining that I had nothing defined before that. I wanted to have a healthy identity going in. And my wife had a picture, that identity attracts identity. And so she knew that like whoever she married would have a strong sense of who they were before they got married. She wouldn't have to be a mom to her husband, so to speak. Yeah. And so I think for a lot of people, like when you're really, holding your heart open to God and saying, I want to be married, enjoy though when you're not. Right. And start to get to know who you are, develop that sense of self, develop those personal skills, talents, and areas that you won't have time for once you get married, especially once you have kids. If you don't have a good foundation of those things, it will take you 10 times as long to develop your writing gift or your whatever musical instrument or whatever once you have one child.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Get it all as much as you want while you can. And I think Jerry Maguire ruined it for people when he said, you complete me, because we look for that person to complete us instead of looking to God to complete us. And then that person
Christ is our completer. Yeah,
exactly. And that person comes along in a journey, but that person will never complete us. And if we're looking for that, we're looking for the wrong thing.
Yeah. They're a partner, and partnership is my favorite thing. I've loved my married life way more than my single life now that I'm in it. But when I was in my single life, I didn't feel less than. I felt like I was I just like that I've had someone who's sharpening me so much. I've been able to sharpen so much. And I feel like I've multiplied since I've been married versus just added to when I was single. But that's not everyone's story, but that was my story,
Right. That's really good. Awesome. Well, that's going to do it for our lunch episode. I wish I had 5 more hours to talk to you, but that's going to be it for today. So thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And just let everyone know where they can find you.
BolzMinistries.com, and then also on social media under Shawn Bolz. And we have all kinds of stuff going on. So come join us.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you again, Shawn. God bless you.
Thank you.
Well, we are going to keep this launch podcast train rolling. Next episode, I have with me Rashawn Copeland, who has an amazing story about discernment involving witnessing to somebody in the prison system. You're not going to want to miss it.
Thank you for listening to the Everyday Discernment Podcast. For more information on Discerning Dad, go to discerning-dad.com. Be sure to follow on all the social media platforms. Just search for Discerning Dad. Please share this podcast with a friend and leave an honest review on whichever platform you listen. Feel free to send any comments, suggestions, questions, or prayer requests at discerningdad@outlook.com. Until next time, keep fighting the good fight.